Good evening, good evening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Evolve and Elevate with Erica. I am your host, Erica Bishop, founder of Empowered to Prosper Coaching and Consulting. And I am so glad to be here with you all tonight. And we thank you for joining us again here on this broadcast. What do we do here at Evolve and Elevate with Erica? We are here to talk about all things transformation and growth and change. That is the conversations that we have here. And each week I have a guest with me on most weeks that I do. And we're always having those conversations that one, maybe some people aren't ready to talk about. And two, anything that's going to help you to move forward and to grow. So we thank you again for being here with us tonight. Now, if you were not here last week, you really missed a treat. We had a whole mastermind class by itself last night with my wonderful guest, Spencer Combs, who is here back again with me again this week. He is the author of this wonderful book right here, Momentum and Mastery. And we have some links for you where you will have an opportunity to be able to get a free copy of this book, also to connect with Spencer. And just to let you know a little bit about how we got connected, we were connected when I was in real estate. Back in the day, so a few years ago when I was in the real estate game, Spencer was one of the coaches that was there to help us be better at real estate. And he has continued that legacy in his own business as a speaker, as an author, as a motivator. So I'm going to give Spencer some time to introduce himself to you and give a little recap about what you missed last week. Welcome, Spencer. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Erica. what a fantastic introduction. Yes, my name is Spencer Combs, and I have a company called Spencer Combs Resources. I believe that professional development, all the things that you want in your profession, the money, the level of growth, and things that you want to see happen there, is always going to happen on the backside of personal development because businesses don't actually grow; people do. So, with that being said, I have dedicated a greater part of 2 decades now. I'm actually going into we just rolled over 2 decades, well over 20,000 hours of billable time in doing everything I can to help develop programs, systems, write books, workshops, everything necessary for individuals, business leaders to defy the odds. Because let's just be honest, the odds are stacked against us, right? And when you look at the odds, it's like, why would I ever want to do this? Well, the reason why you want to get it done is because you know that you're made for more. You know that it's possible. And so what I do is have created a what we call the Unshakeable framework, which is really more than one framework all in one place. And we put it in this book called Momentum and Mastery. But tonight, we're going to actually cover one of the topics out of there on mindset. So, Erica, might want to put your seatbelt on. We're going to have some fun with mindset discussions. But before we do that, you wanted me to do a quick recap of last week?
Let me share my part, and I'm going to let you share yours. So, a
Sure.
couple of things that I walked away with last week as he goes through his unshakable framework. So, the unshakable framework is broken up into three parts, which is movement, mindset, and mechanics. Now, I don't want to take all the thunder away, but one of the things that really hit home with me is the four parts of movement, which is desire, decision, desire, dream, decision, and disturb. So first you have to have a desire. You have to open up your mind to dream. Then you have to make a decision. And there's some disturbance that needs to happen, which brings about the movement. And that really set home and stuck with me because I had already been dreaming and I already had the desire. And there was some decisions that were being made that I've already put into action, and definitely a lot of disturbance because I went to go see something, feel it, touch it, and I have to go get it. So
Yeah.
that's a movement that has to happen there. So Spencer, give us the recap of last week so that we can move into the mindset this week.
Absolutely. Here's what I'll tell everybody. I think all of us know that you got to have the mechanics. Like you got to know how to do your job, right? You got to know how to be successful in whatever career path you're in, right? If you're in a leadership position, you got to know how to do that. Mechanics is really kind of a given. Now, what the whole program is going to tell you is, and we'll talk about mechanics next week, by the way. So don't be hanging. Don't think this is the end of the road, because we will actually break it down. And there's a lot of people that are missing that piece. But and then the mindset piece, I think a lot of people would be able to tell you, well, the mindset's definitely important. And we'll get more into that tonight. But the conversation around movement, right? You got to take action. What causes people to take action? And that's what we covered last week. We talked about those 4 Ds. You have to have a dream. You have to have a desire, which is, by the way, understanding what you want and why you want it. And then you get into a disturbing, you got to get disturbed. You got to get stirred up enough to where it creates a threshold where I must do it, and I must do it now. And I'm the only one that can get it done. That threshold then creates a moment of decision. And that's where we get into movement. We got to take action. We got to have a compelling future. What's funny is people like to throw around the words compelling future. Have you heard that phrase before, Erica?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. It's not an uncommon phrase that especially coaches love to use the word, having a compelling future. It's actually an NLP. That's where it has its NLP origination. So if those of you that are coming in on here live, right, you've heard of the phrase compelling future, why don't you guys let us know in the comments. The truth about that, though, I think from my observation, is that a lot of people know what it means to create a future, but few people understand how to make it compelling. Right? Compelling is something where it's not an option. It must be done, right? And it must be done now, and I've got to be the one to do it. So creating that compulsion for this kind of future is something that's created using this framework of movement, right? Going from drift to drive. So really, unless you're consistently going deep into all 4 of these areas and doing this on a consistent basis, you're going to try to lean on motivation. And truthfully, motivation is, you don't need motivation. We talked about that last week. Mm-hmm. What you need is emotional leverage. You need neurological leverage, which creates that compulsion to move forward, even when things aren't going your way. When the market's not going the way you want it to, how do I keep moving forward? Well, you got to have that foundational piece of a compelling future. You got to be in drive. Mm-hmm. Once you have all of those pieces, then we can go into the qualified champions framework, which is the mindset and the mechanics and how those two come together.
So can I ask a quick question before we get into the mindset part? And I want to go back to the drift and the drive, because that really hit in a lot of different ways. And I think it was one part as you were teaching, the Baptist Costa preacher almost had come out as you were getting into it. So when you talk about the drift and the drive, because the drift can be looked at in a lot of different ways, but let's talk about the difference when you know you're in the drift and when you know you moved into the drive part.
So I'm quick to point out to everybody that we all are in some kind of drift. I mean, drift is not necessarily going to be, usually I say it this way, let's not villainize the concept of being in a drift, because we can't be consciously thinking about everything in our lives. So we need to have some things that are somewhat automated. But the truth is that if we just, a better way to look at it is this: your drift is equal to your reality. So whatever level of income you're at, whatever level of relationship you've got going on, whatever level of where you've gotten in your career, if all these things are kind of plateaued and you've kind of gotten into this rhythm where it's just the same thing over and over and over on a regular basis, that is your drift. And I also said this last week, that your drift is probably someone else's dream. So just remember, it's not a bad thing necessarily. However, we all have this deep-seated desire and interest and belief that we can do more, right? There's more to life. We were designed and wonderfully created to be able to do way more than what we are probably doing. And with that being said, how do you go from drift and then turn it into enough drive to shake that off, right? And become and do and have more than you ever had before. So you got to be in drive if you want to get outside of your current drift and create a whole nother level of reality.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. So, as you all are coming in, before I hand it back over to Spencer, as we get into the mindset. So, we were in the movement on last week, and now we get ready to go into the mindset. So, please understand this is a whole mastermind class that you're getting, and most people pay thousands of dollars for what you're about to get. What we received last week, what we have this week, and what we're going to receive next week. And I'm so thankful for relational currency that allows me to have someone like Spencer as a friend who is here and is a part of this platform on tonight. So as he's getting ready to go into the mindset, please tag someone, share, like, subscribe, call someone on the phone, get them on either Facebook or YouTube to connect with us, because these are some jewels. Because this right here is so precious to me that I think at some point I'm going to pull it and put it in a vault, because this is a lot of jewels, and a lot of great information that we want to make sure that the right people get it, but also we understand the value of it. So we thank you all for being here. So make sure you please connect with some people so that they can be a part of this. So Spencer, I'm going to go ahead and let you have the floor so we can go ahead and get into the mindset. So can I ask my question now? Or do I need to wait for later?
No, well, I don't have any problem with you asking the question, but let me prime the group for just a second.
Okay.
Friends, ask yourself this question. I want you to think about somebody in your mind right now. And if you got paper and pen, this would work really, really well. This is something we do at the Unshakeable Weekend event. Think of someone that you respect, that you really honor. You wish you could be more like them, maybe, but it's someone that you have a high regard for. Just think of that person. It may be someone you physically and honestly know, or maybe it's someone in history. Maybe it's somebody that has passed away, whatever, right? Think of that person. And then I want you to write down just a couple of characteristics about that person. What is it that made them interesting to you or admirable to you? Like, what made them admirable? Take a moment, just write those couple of things down. It would be cool if we had like music, but we don't, friends. I'm sorry. And if you're driving right now and you're thinking about it, just maybe say out loud a couple of things that come to your mind. Write them down in the comments. Drop a few of those characteristics. We don't have to know the exact person. Just these are the characteristics. Tell us in the comments. I would love to hear kind of some of these characteristics that made this person admirable to you. And unfortunately, because of where I'm at, I can't see everybody's comments. So I'm going to have to rely on you.
I'm going to read mine out. So I
Okay.
did more than 2 or 3, but it was the character of the person.
Mm-hmm.
It was their integrity. It was their words of encouragement and their presence. Their presence exuded such confidence.
Confidence would be another word you'd put in there. Yeah. So let me ask everybody then. You hear these words and the ones that you have written down, and the listener, if you were out here and you got a couple things written down, how many of those are actually skill sets, and how many of those are probably mindsets? Meaning, how many of these are perspectives versus how many of these are things that they learned as a skill? You're going to find that the majority of what makes someone admirable to you is very unlikely you're going to say they had a high closing ratio and that's why I like them, right? They made millions and millions of dollars. The skill sets that it takes to be able to operate in life doesn't necessarily make you admirable. It can, we have a high level of appreciation for people that produce on a high level, right? That's why we look at someone, an Olympian or some sort of sports, some sort of an athlete or anything like that, or you see special forces, like a Navy SEAL or something. Those are highly skilled individuals. But most of the time, you're looking not at just their skill level, but you're paying attention to things like their integrity, right? You're looking at their willingness to keep moving right? Their courage, their consistency, all these types of things that are not actually skills. They're mindset conversation. So it's a critical discussion to have mindset, the appropriate mindset. Now there's 5 building blocks we're going to cover tonight. The reason why, by the way, you would normally pay thousands, as Erica just said, is because when people pay, they pay attention. So here's what I know. Uh, because this is free tonight, you're going to listen to it. You're like, yeah, that sounds cool. But if you just paid me $2,500 to have this discussion, you're probably going to look at it and actually apply it in your life. So it's up to you. This is an opportunity that Erica has given everyone to be able to go in here, get this information, and do something with it. What if you could add another $10,000 to your bottom line? What if we could, right? What would happen when you take this information and apply it? Because information alone, that's great. That's potential power, right? Implementation, that's better, right? We're gonna actually do something with it. But integration is the crown on the jewel, the crown jewel in that discussion, because once you integrate it into your life, it's a big deal. So here's 5 building blocks, and I'm going to give you the 5 mindsets that come along with it. And if you didn't remember from last week, we covered these. I'm just going to touch base on them again. They come together a whole lot better too next week when we bring in the other half of this this equation. You guys are going to see it. So, I'm not seeing a lot of comments tonight. It's a lot quieter tonight. I must have run them off last week.
No, they're drifting. They're coming. We have a lot that watch the replay, so they'll be in. Because I'm gonna tell you, last week we had over 300 plus plays going into the 5. So when they're watching, they're definitely watching.
So I'll make sure then that I'm referencing those of you that are watching this as a replay. Feel free to drop in the notes in the comments in the future, right? So if you're watching this 2-3 weeks later and you have a question or something you want to put in there, tag me. Right, just at Spencer Combs, tag me, and I will more than likely answer you. Okay, I love doing what I do. Matter of fact, I could be extremely tired, and for whatever reason, when I'm in this mode, I'll have all kinds of energy. Like I've done this with 2 hours of sleep before, just wide open, because I love doing this with you guys. I love helping. I love seeing people get charged up when things are moving in the right direction for them. So there's 5 building blocks. Okay. At the very bottom, the base block is purpose. You've got to know what your purpose is. Once you understand your purpose, then you're going to we work with people on their priorities. From priorities, we then step people into their power. And then from power, we get into performance. And then with performance, we get into people's progress. It might be easier to digest if we looked at it this way. Like I did last week, all of you want to make progress. Spencer, I want to do more. I want to have a better lifestyle. I want to get that promotion. I want to start my own business. I want to, right? There's all these different things that you maybe are wanting to do, and you want to make progress on that. Spencer, I just want to pay down all my debt. Spencer, I want to buy a house. Spencer, right? These are all things that we want to do, get progress on, right? Well, to make that progress, we're going to have to perform. We're going to have to do some things, right? Well, if we're not performing, if I don't have the performance, then I step down one block and I talk about where's my power in this situation? Do I have the juice to pull this off? And if I don't have the juice to pull it off, well, then it's probably a conversation around my priorities, right? So now I'm just going backwards. But this is how you diagnose the situation so that you're not just shooting in the dark. What is my challenge? Do I have priorities? Or is everything a priority? Because if everything's a priority, then I have no priorities. You can put that one in your pipe and smoke it, right? Think about that for a moment. If I don't have any if everything is a priority, then I have no priorities, right? If I'm struggling with priorities, it's because I have a diffused focus, and that means probably I don't have a strong purpose. Like I don't know exactly what I'm going after here, which is where I want to start tonight. The mindset of purpose. Now, before I get to that, Erica, did you have your question you wanted to go ahead and answer before I start, or ask before I jump into all this These 5 pieces of the mindset.
Yes. So, as we're talking about mindset, and this is something that I learned from one of my pastors. It just kind of blew my mind. So, I want to ask this one question. Well, I've got a couple of, but I'm going to start with this one. We have those sometimes limiting beliefs that sometimes we may not understand that we have limiting beliefs, but as we grow, evolve, and change, we realize that we have had some limiting beliefs in our lives. How do we grow from those limiting beliefs or release those limiting beliefs when we're holding value to a belief system because it's someone that we revere and love that taught us?
Hmm.
It wasn't necessarily wrong, but it's not right for where we're going. How do we help change the mindset and we hold dear to the person that told us, but it's a limiting belief that's keeping us stuck and stagnant and we have to move forward?
Stuck in stagnancy is a conversation around performance. Okay, because we're going to talk about beliefs. So, would it be okay for me to work my way up to that question or that
Yes,
answer?
good. Do go right
Because
ahead.
there's some foundational stuff that we need to get to,
Mm-hmm.
because belief is in fact the mindset portion of performance, that fourth building block.
Yes.
So we'll get the belief, and we're gonna talk about how they get created and how to actually deconstruct them and recreate. Okay.
Okay.
What I will tell you is that well, we're gonna just table it for the moment right now. And we're gonna tease right now for this, but we're gonna stick right there for this right now. Let's start with the bottom line. Here's the thing: everybody wants to start working on all this kind of stuff. Like, give me the deep stuff, Spencer. Give me the deep stuff. Well, let me ask you something. What are you actually committed to?
That's good.
The mindset here that we must start with every time. What am I committed to? Because that clarifies the purpose. So the mindset of purpose is a mindset of commitment. Commitment means I'm going to, if you've heard these phrases before, burn the boats,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, Commitment is not an interest. I would like to, what, Spencer, I would like to, I know I'm making 80,000 a year right now, but I really need to get to 100, 120. That would be a big thing for me. That's an interest. What are you committed to? So let me give you a little. I'm going to tell a little story, Erica. This actually happened in Columbia up there, actually in Lexington, to be honest. I don't. Did I share my YMCA story from last week? I don't
Yes,
think
you did. I think
I
you did.
did.
No, you
I
didn't.
don't think I did. I don't think I did. Guys, listen here. This is kind of a fun story. A few years ago, this was actually quite a few years ago now. Um, Friend of mine called me up and said, "Hey, Spencer, you want to play soccer?" And I said, I guess. I hadn't played soccer since I was in high school, and he knew that. That's why he reached out to me. He's like, "You want to play soccer?" I was like, I guess. Why? What's going on? He's like, "Well, the Y is doing a junior rec league tournament, and we're just going to get a bunch of us together. We're going to go enter into this tournament." I said, "Okay, all right." And so my first level of commitment was essentially, sure, I don't mind. And then I showed up. By the way, I asked, I said, "Are we supposed to be wearing anything specific? Like, this is a tournament, right?" And he says, "No, man, just show up the way you are." I said, "Okay." So I showed up in some shorts, tennis shoes, t-shirt, no big deal. And he's so I get there, and I'm if anybody is in South Carolina and never been to the YMCA in Lexington, the soccer fields are down in almost like in a valley kind of thing, right? And I'm walking to go towards that direction because I see that's where all the sound is coming from. So I figured, okay, this is where this tournament is at. So I start walking over that direction. And when I start looking down the hill and I see the field, I'm thinking junior rec league, my beep, right? This ain't no junior rec league. This looks like Argentina and Bolivia are out here having a soccer match. Like, this is not a joke. And so I found my friends and I said, okay, what's going on? They're like, yeah, well, we found out that you got to have shin guards. They won't let you play unless you have shin guards. I said, well, we don't have any shin guards. One guy says, I'll go get us some. Literally gets in his car, drives down to Play It Again Sports, and buys everybody shin guards. Right. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there with my hands in my pockets, like watching what's going on. Then we find out that we didn't have enough players. So what do? These guys, they go out and start talking to some of the teams that already lost and see if any of those players wanted to play with us. Okay. Now, to shorten up the story a little bit, here's what was happening. Those guys were committed to making this happen.
Yes.
I was interested. I was okay with being there. Like, okay, I'm here. I showed up at least. And if a game breaks out, I'm here. If it doesn't, I'm okay with that too. Why is this important, or how does this apply to you? Most things in life, people are operating from a mindset of interest, not necessarily even to the borderline of obsession, right? If you're not committed to that outcome, we're going to have a problem right off the rip.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have enough juice, if you will, to make sure that you don't that you do change the belief systems and that you have a different perspective. You're not going to if you don't have a commitment to the outcome. You don't have that level of purpose. We could spend a little time here, but we don't have enough time to do all that. Here's what I want you to just remember. If you're having a problem with mindset, the first question right off the rip is going to be, what am I committed to here?
Yes.
Second thing, second block, second piece to the mindset. By the way, I named them blocks for a reason, because for some people they're building blocks, for some people they're stumbling blocks.
Mm.
Tell me I didn't go to Bible school.
You went to Bible school. You framing it up real good, because I got a whole sermon in my head. You good. You good.
I got you set up for it. All right, let's
Got
go.
me set up.
Well, if we're going to work on our priorities now, let's say we're clear on we're focused, or we got a commitment. Let's put it that way. Now it's a conversation around focus. The mindset of focus looks like this. Your brain doesn't know how to deal with anything that's particularly negative. So if I told you, Erica, don't think of a blue tree. Just don't think of a blue tree. Because if you don't think, I don't want you to think about blue trees, because blue trees, blue leaves, blue, like, that's just ridiculous, right? It's crazy. Blue trees. Stop thinking about blue trees. And the more I tell you not to think about the blue tree, the more your brain has to create it, right? To know what to avoid.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
This is the same reason why you don't tell yourself, I don't want to be broke. This is the same reason why you don't tell your children, don't you go in here and act like a fool. Because the truth is, if you don't tell your brain what you want, it's going to automatically have to do that to figure out where's the line. That's what kids are doing. They're always wanting to figure out where the line is, right? Don't act a fool in here. Don't embarrass me in here. Well, where's that line? Like, I don't know what are you asking me to do? You making sense?
I just connected some dots, like really connected some dots. So you're telling me that, and I think this is where positive affirmations are so important, or speaking life and speaking those things that be not as though they were. Because when you tell your brain to do a thing, that's what it will manifest. So if I'm telling myself not to think of a tree, I'm going to think of a tree to avoid it. But if I tell myself, think of just the green tree and the tree that's abundance. Think of the blessings. Think of those things.
Yeah.
Think on those things that are lovely and of good rapport. When you think on those things, that's what you are. I got it's in there. I got
you got the essence of this entire section where we talk about it in here is it's about moving toward versus moving away, because any plane will get you there if you don't know where you're headed. Right?
That's good.
In addition to that, though, it's not a discussion of, well, I'm going to be super I'm more spiritual than you because I don't think about any negative things. Get the hell out of here with that because I ain't got time for it. Because here's the truth: life happens, negative things happen. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a difference between focus and awareness,
Mm-hmm.
right? Focus is where I'm moving, where I put the dominant portion of my energy. Awareness, I'll put it this way: I'm going to focus on what I want, and I'm going to be aware of the things that I don't. Another way of looking at it is if I wanted to grow a flower of some kind, let's say a rose. Most people spend their entire life focusing on all the weeds to make sure that there's no threat to my rose. The problem is that you're never going to have a healthy and abundant rose if you don't focus on the rose.
Correct.
So you focus on the rose, and you are aware of the weeds. The the additional value to this is that your brain, of course, and it's not uncommon for coaches to talk about reticular activating system. Are you familiar with that, Erica?
I've heard a little bit about it, so just help us out.
Okay. So reticular activating system, everybody never, most people haven't heard of it, heard that in that term, but we all have experienced it before. Okay. So let's just play a little game. Um, right. Yeah. What is the tree is the question. Sorry. I was reading one of the comments. So, well, I'll do it for myself. I have a Jeep Wrangler.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I started wanting one, before I even bought it, I could be driving down the road and I would spot Jeep Wranglers everywhere. Right.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of car do you drive, Erica?
I drive a BMW.
BMW,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you got your BMW, did you notice how many more were on the road all of a sudden?
Yes.
It's like, what in the world? I thought I thought it was like an exclusive thing. Suddenly you realize a ton of people have BMWs, right? Here's the truth is that your brain filters information all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If it didn't filter it, it would you would be more you'd be on autism spectrum. You get overstimulated. Okay. So, my nephew, he's autistic, he'll sit there and stare at his hand because he's trying to get focused. There's too much going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that problem for the most part because your brain is filtering information out. I'll give
Correct.
you another example. Every car that you drove on your way home today,
Mm-hmm.
every tag, your brain scanned those tags. But the
Correct.
only ones you ever notice are the ones that are out of state or personalized
Yes.
because they're unusual. They stick out. There's something different. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not that you just happen to read those. Your brain has been reading every single one.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is this mindset of focus has to be on what you want. What am I focused on? What am I moving toward? Because the more I do that, the more your brain is going to go to work for you to bring in those opportunities, and also, by the way, to exclude the things that aren't getting you any closer to that commitment. Somebody's having like bells and whistles going off right now.
Yes, I'm having a lot of them.
It's a powerful thing once you understand, once you get this, like, because here's what the truth is. When we talk about prayer, and by the way, I'm not taking away the power of the Holy Spirit and what he can do. What I need you to understand though is that you've been given some hardware and some software, and if you can utilize that hardware and the software, you can train your brain to find the opportunities for you
Mm-hmm.
with the power of focus. What do I want? This is why things like visualization, this is why affirmations, all that kind of stuff is programming your mind for what's important to you. And then the more you do it, suddenly opportunities start showing up and you think they're miracles. They're not miracles, honey. You just started using the science as it needed to be.
So this for me is the other part of faith without works is dead. Because there are things that we're responsible for to do, because God has given us everything that pertains to life and godliness, and there are things that we have to do in this life to move forward with what it is that he has given us. When you think about the parable of the talents, 1 5, 1 2, one, 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 two, and one, five. But the one that had five actually executed and did something to get to the 10. And this is the puzzle piece in the middle that we have to execute on to get from the 5 to the 10. I'm gonna turn it back over to you because I got a whole revelation over here.
Girl, we're going to listen. This is a conversation that happened this week with one of my coaching clients. Actually, on Friday. I'm sorry. On Friday. She said, Spencer, I don't have enough money to cover my bills next month. And it's going to take a miracle. I said, miracles only happen on the far end of what you're capable of.
That's it right there.
So let me ask you, what are you capable of? Right.
What
I got a text message on Sunday, and I happen to be in church, and she said, I'm writing an offer for $960,000 right now. It's a miracle. Now, she said it was a miracle. I said, not a miracle. It's not a miracle. I said, that is grace. That is grace and a high level of skill on your part, because she could have capitulated. She could have let it go and moved on.
And how much was the offer she wrote again?
$960,000.
She wrote an offer for $960,000.
Yeah, well, she got it accepted. So at the end of the day, she'll probably make close to $27,000.
Okay.
Right, guys, listen. We all need to remember, because sometimes we.
Come on, let it go. Let it go.
No. The Bible Belt, right? People are talking, well, I'm going to let the Lord, man, shut up for a minute. I need to, let me ask you something. What has he given you, right? That you need to take it, that you need to move this thing forward, because it'll never be a miracle if it's something you could have done for yourself.
My God.
What that is most of the time is people are scared and they don't actually believe that he can or will. They don't believe in themselves. I'm getting ahead of myself. Once you have the focus, okay, so we got commitment, right? We got a commitment. We gotta focus, right? We got to focus on where we're headed, so we're clear on all this. The natural next piece, okay, the third one is a mindset of accountability.
Good.
This one will almost always chap somebody's rear end. But here's what I want you to know. Champions own their stuff. And I'm censoring myself right now. Champions own their stuff. The circumstances define victims. Champions define the circumstance. Here's what I know, right? It's election season. We're gonna, a couple more weeks, and we're gonna have a whole new president, whoever that's going to be. I don't give a rat's behind. You know why? Because the circumstance doesn't define me. I define the circumstance. And if your entire life, by the way, is completely dependent on who is in the Oval Office or whatever, then we've successfully determined what your problem is with life. And I know, not a lot of people are going to appreciate that statement, but here's what I know. Champions own their results. And there's two sides to this coin. There's humility and there's honor. The humility side is the part we're talking about right now, where I am humble enough to understand it's mine. If I mess this up, it's mine. You don't like the drift you're in, it's yours, right? If you don't like what you got going on, I don't like my salary. I did a terrible thing in the past. I married the wrong person. I did this, I did that. Those are all things that you own. And it'll never change, never, until you first own it. It's yours. You made those choices. See, when you know what your focus is, the next thing you're going to have to step into is your power. And this is the first way to do it. Stop letting everyone else dictate to you who you are and what you're doing. And you do that by first owning it with humility. The other part of owning it, though, accountability, is honor. Honor yourself for the things that you're doing right. If somebody gives you a compliment, here's a really good. People struggle with compliments. Okay. They do. If I told Erica, honey, you glowing tonight, you looking good, right? Her answer should be thank you. But a lot of times, think about this. You're walking around in your day to day business. You look at someone and you see they got nice shoes or something, right? You say, "Oh, I love your shoes," right? What is your compulsion when they compliment you on your shoes? Your
Well,
compulsion.
yeah, I say thank you, but there was a time I would say, "Oh, this ain't nothing." Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh huh.
Yeah, we either downplay
Mhm.
or we give a compliment back.
Mhm.
I like what you got going on right now, right? That's You need to honor your own activities. You need to own your own stuff. Okay. We're going to talk about what the stuff is when we talk about mechanics next week. But the truth is that you need to own it.
Mhm.
We could go on with this too. I got a whole accountability. By the way, it's not the traditional sense of the word where, we beat ourselves over the head with a wet noodle as accountability. What I'm referring to in accountability is the ability to account.
Correct.
What are you doing with your time? What are you doing with your money? What are
Mhm.
you doing with your energy? Right?
Mhm.
That's an accounting conversation. So at this point, I'm committed, I'm focused on where I'm headed, and I own the results. These are mine, right? Then the next thing is beliefs.
Mhm.
At this point now is okay, if I got all of this in place now and I'm still struggling because I'm not performing at this point, it's a belief conversation.
Mhm.
Let me help you understand something. Beliefs are really like legs under a table. Okay? Well, the belief is the tabletop. And what the legs are references. So
Okay.
those references usually show up from one of three places in life, right? And the more references, the stronger the belief.
Mhm.
Okay? So, and some tables just have one leg underneath them. They got one big giant leg underneath. Sometimes that's what it is. Those come from the first one. There's three ways that beliefs get created. One is significant emotional events. If you've ever had a significant emotional event, it could have been it could just be that you fell in love with chocolate, okay? But this is a significant a moment for you because there was a lot of emotion attached to it. But there's a lot of moments in your life, especially when you're
Mhm.
young, that have impacted the way you believe about certain things, certain groups of people. You with me?
I
That
am.
stuff happens with significant emotional events. The second way that beliefs get created is through, sometimes I will refer to it as spaced repetition, but it's also verbal patterns, right? So if we repeat the same phrases over and over that we've learned over time, it
Mhm.
will actually increase the belief. So if you keep saying things like, and my daughters know this now, long now they're older, but my youngest still has a habit of saying things like, "I'm so dumb." I am very quick to say something about that. Because when you repeatedly say certain phrases, "I'm broke," right? I've never been good at technology. You keep saying these phrases over and over and over, it builds the belief system.
Mhm.
Erica just had something cross her mind, something she says all the time.
These are things I had to unlearn.
Mhm.
So it's good. Go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
ready for the third one.
Repetitive verbal patterns, right?
Mhm.
The third one is models. This speaks to what you were talking about a moment ago, Erica. Significant models in our life are people that we honor or respect or we have a high level of regard for. They can speak, they can do and say just about anything, and it will unlock some sort of belief system in you as well because you want to emulate that person.
Mhm.
So if you're going to change a belief because it doesn't line up with your commitment, your focus, and now your accountability, you're going to have to do all three of those things, if not, or at least one of those three things, if not all three of them, to change the belief, which would mean you'd need to clarify what the belief needs to be.
Mhm.
So then you go about finding, and the way you create significant emotional events, by the way, could be things like the threshold conversation we had last week.
Right.
Right? You can create one that's so intense for you. that causes a threshold for you, like I had in 2004, standing on the edge of the Caloosahatchee River. Right, no more. This is it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not doing this anymore. My life's going to change. Right.
Right.
You can also start changing your verbal patterns. What are some of the things you're saying on a regular basis?
Mm-hmm.
Silly things like money doesn't grow on trees, right? And all these kind of what
Mm-hmm.
uh, whatever's not. Pay attention to your verbal patterns. Change them. Start giving new ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, verbal patterns are only going to work if you repeat them. It's almost like instead of um, Tony Robbins, I think, is the one that talks about incantations instead of
Right.
just right, instead of doing just affirmations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do incantations. Well, at the end of the day, you have to put energy into it for it to actually make a change in your neurology. That's the difference, is the
Mm-hmm.
energy. And then you're going to need to probably find new models. Who is operating with the new belief system that you want, or who's getting the result that you want? What are they doing? How do I get closer to them? I I mean, I don't make it a high public conversation on a regular basis, but my growth plan alone with my coaches is $26,000 a year. Why? So I can get closer to the people that are doing more of what I want to do. It changes your belief system. I was at a group thing back earlier this summer, and they got a guy sitting in the front of the room talking, and he just got finished with a $90 million exit selling
Ooh.
a company. Right? That'll mess with your brain. Your belief system's kind of like, I'm starting to twitch. Right? So, right? That's why we pay that kind of money, because we want to be around the people that are doing that, so we can just being in the room makes a difference,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because then I'm in the hallway. I got this guy, and I'm telling him what I'm doing. He's like, "Man, you ain't charging enough. There's people that pay all kinds of this and that," and you're like, "But I'm doing that to myself for the conditioning benefit,
Mm-hmm.
to change my belief system."
Mm-hmm.
Did that actually answer your question, or did
It
we just?
it did, because I'm a firm believer in this, and this actually I have a sign that a friend made for me. I'm gonna pull it right quick so you can see it, because you're the sum total of the five closest people around you, right? And when you think about where you want to go, what you want to do, you have to think about your circle and the people that influence you, because you are influenced by the people that are around you. And this is something that God gave me, but it's one of those um what did you call it? The emotional events. This was my emotional event, right? So the five closest people that I'm committed to have in my life are visionaries, multipliers, goal-getters, truth tellers, and intercessors. And in my circle today, all of those people qualify. This is the sign.
Mm, mm. You're gonna have to learn to mirror your camera because it's all
Yeah, I'm gonna
backwards.
have to. Yeah, because it's backwards.
Yeah,
So this is my sign. And I had a good friend of mine, her name was Michelle Flack. She made that for me, and I have it here in my office,
love it.
because it's a reminder that as I have grown and evolved to this place that I am in with the mindset that I have, you have to qualify to be in my circle,
Mm.
because I can't go backwards, because I fought too hard to get to this place.
There
So
are two master fears.
go
Okay,
ahead. Mm-hmm.
two master fears, and this kind of creates the belief conversation. We're either we're afraid that we're not going to be good enough, or that we're going to be alone,
That's true.
and because of that, we make decisions or we build beliefs around causing people to stay close because we don't want to lose them. We don't want to outgrow them, right? One of the biggest belief system or discussions that I usually have to deal with is a conversation around confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna perform, you got to have confidence, right? It's a belief discussion, and the word confidence really is just two words, right? And I did learn this in Bible college by breaking down, going into the etymology of stuff. You know what I mean? Like breaking down the words. The word confidence is confidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Like if you know anything that's
Mhm.
Latin, con means with, and
Correct.
then fidens is basically fidelis, with faith or with trust.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to have to, if you want confidence, you got to have trust. Well, what you're really saying is, I want to have self confidence.
Mm-hmm.
That means you want to trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have the belief that you can make this happen. Let me tell you what's causing people to that causes people to erode their self confidence more than anything else. They're constantly breaking promises to themselves,
Oh.
and they cannot trust themselves because of that.
Mm.
You know what, Spencer? I'm gonna start getting up a little bit earlier, and then they don't. Right? Nobody knows. You're the only one that knows. But what that does is it causes you, right? I'm gonna eat a little bit better from now on, right? And then you don't. Nobody knows. You're the only one that knows, but it erodes your confidence. And then when bigger things start showing up and opportunities show up in your life, and I want to do more, I want to have more, I want to be more, you begin to lose. You don't have confidence in yourself because you can't keep your micro commitments on small things.
Wow.
So if you want to build beliefs, start doing it with yourself. And nobody's telling you got to get up at 4 in the morning and go to the gym and do all that. Yeah. Look, if that's what you think you need to go do, then that's fine. What I'm telling you is, if you said, I'm going to get up 10 minutes earlier tomorrow, just do that. And then give yourself a pat on the back. Own it, right? That's the honor. Own that result that you just did. I just made that happen. And stack those days. Over time, you will build confidence and faith, which is the opposite of fear. You will begin to build faith in yourself, and you'll perform at a higher level because of it. Because really, at the end of the day, recently I heard somebody say something about, the a bird sits on the limb. Is the trust in the limb, or is it in the wings that it knows it can fly if the branch broke? Right. It's no different than when I asked my coach years ago, when I said I was scared about moving to Florida. He said, Spencer, does the market create your opportunity, or do you create your opportunity?
Mm.
Yeah, you got me on that one. Okay. Yeah, I create the opportunity. Bloom where you're planted, right? So, anyway, at the end of the day, beliefs must be in alignment with a faith, must be in alignment with something that's moving you forward. If they're not supporting your outcome, then we need to rework that conversation. The last mindset for this, so we can wrap this up, because I know we're getting close to our end, is flexibility. Flexibility. I know plenty of people that are really good. They got the commitment, they got the focus, right? They know what they're moving towards. They own their stuff and they're all over it. They even got all the belief systems. But you know what, Spencer? That's not how we do it around here. We've been doing it like this for 20 years. We're not going to change anything. If you don't have a mindset of flexibility, you're going to end up probably becoming a part of the past real quick. Like,
Mm.
the most flexible part of any system is the part that controls the system.
Mm.
So I think, a lot of people try to do a lot of strength exercise and want to get stronger and stronger. I'm going to ask you, can you bend without breaking? At the end of the day, what we're looking to find out, the true test of someone who's unshakable, because that's what this is all about. If you're unshakable, how much does it take to break you? Mentally, emotionally, and even physically. It has a lot to do with your ability to be flexible. Making sense?
This is so good. I just caught another sermon in my head. you,
I love
you on a roll.
it. I love it. I've been spending 2 decades working on all this stuff, but the reason why we do it is because it works. It's not like I had beer and pizza one night and just coughed all this stuff up, right? This
Mhm.
stuff come together over the years of working with so many people. And what's going to be even more particularly interesting is next week when we start going through the mechanics and we marry all these mindset pieces to the mechanics,
Hmm.
you'll see how we get into the understanding our purpose, creating those priorities, having the power to move forward and performing and then creating progress. All of that comes together when you marry all these mindset pieces we talked about tonight
Hmm.
and we marry it to the mechanics.
Thank you so much, Spencer. This is so beautiful to me because as I'm thinking about as a believer, you think about your spiritual walk, right? You think about your life before God. And what you're sharing with us are life principles that can be used in any facet of your life. And when you think about when you ask the question, can you bend without breaking? And I thought of all the places in my life where I had to bend, but I didn't break. And it's in those places where I had to walk through with godly confidence in some of those places and have the faith of not to break, but I was in a bent situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we grow and we elevate and we evolve in those places and we become better as people and it makes us stronger and we execute differently because we make a decision in those places where we have no choice but to do that. And then there when we learn that we can apply certain things to our lives, we don't have to wait until we are kicking up against the bricks. We don't have to wait until our back is up against the wall. We don't have to wait until we have an emotional situation that we have to make. We're willingly going to God and say, you know what? This is where I am. I'm surrendering it all to you. And I want you to help me move forward in this place called life so that I can use what's in my hands. That's always the question that comes back. What's already in your hands?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because to the question that you said before, let me go back to it because I've been taking notes and writing it down. And I'm going to put it back up here. It will never be a miracle if it's something you could have done for yourself. And I immediately went to the widow and the oil
Mm-hmm.
because she had it, but she did not know what she needed were the vessels to put the oil in. She had it in her hand, but she needed a spiritual coach which came in the form of a prophet named Elijah that gave her the direction and clarity of what she needed to do. And she executed on what it was she was supposed to do. She didn't say, oh, well, I don't want to go talk to those neighbors. I'm going to talk to those people. They're not going to let me have it. She immediately went into action on what it is she needed to do. And she
Mm-hmm.
got everything that she needed.
There were so many there's so many healings also in the gospel specifically where Jesus told him to go wash in the river and that kind of thing or in the pool. None of them said, are you sure that's what you want me to do? All of them got up and went and did it. They just got up and went and made it happen. So love it. I
So
love it.
there's truly a part for us to do and a part for God to do, and a part for somebody else to do. And I learned it from one of my other coaches. We all have a level of responsibility. And to your point, we have to own what we need to own and be committed to that part that we own.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess as a kind of a parting thought, and by the way, all of you can get a copy of the book if you just go to momentumandmastery.com. It's there for you. All you got to do is pay for the shipping and handling. Also, if you want a text from me every morning, you can just go to spencercombs.com/text, and I'll send you I don't know, Erica, if you're on that or not, but if you're not, you need to get on there. I send a daily text Monday through Friday with some sort of momentum and mastery. But maybe to kind of carry this for the week until we get back next week, ask yourself a few questions. One, what am I actually committed to? And maybe pick one area of your life, right? So, is it your spiritual life? Is it your health? Is it your relationships? Is it your career? Is it your finances? What am I going to focus on? What am I committed to in this particular area? And then if I'm committed to that, what should I be focused on? What am I moving towards? And from there, understand that I own whatever results I have right now and whatever results I'm going to create. They're mine. What do I have to believe for that to be true? And how can I maintain flexibility in the process? That's the challenge for the week.
That's awesome. Well, Spencer, as always, this was absolutely amazing. You all, please make sure it's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. You go to momentumandmastery.com. I want to make sure I put it back up here again. Get your free copy of the books. There, the other part about this book that I want to make sure that I share with you, there are actual questions in here for you to answer as you go through the book. You're actually executing on the work. There's sometimes you read books, you put them down, and you may take notes or not, or you might highlight, but this, you actually have to be accountable to yourself here in the book. So make sure you go and get this book, Momentum and Mastery. And I'm telling you, this has truly been a blessing. This is week 2. We have one more week. I'm letting you know what we're getting here and then what we have received last week and this week. People pay thousands for this information. They pay thousands. And I'm so grateful again for relational currency. We got it free. So make sure you let someone know that we're here. Go back and watch last week because it was absolutely amazing on momentum movement.
Mhm.
And we were on mindset this week, and next week we're bringing it all together with mechanics. So please make sure that you let someone know. Go to the YouTube channel, let all your friends know, and subscribe because this is some very good information. So for those of you, as you know, I'm a God girl. So for those of you, the Lord led me on another project to once a month we are teaching the names of God. We teach 5 names a month, and we give you an opportunity to journal through those names, pray on those names, and learn God. So, new on Amazon, it just came out on Amazon. This is the Kingdom Intercessors Prayer Journal. Now, you can use it for your own personal prayers if it's something specific that you're studying, but this is a 120-day journal on Amazon right now. Make sure you go check it out. If you'd like to be a part of Kingdom Intercessors, definitely do that. We greatly appreciate it. It's the first Saturday of every month. We're only on there for an hour. We spend the rest of the month praying, journaling, and believing God for what it is that we're believing Him for. And when we have certain things like this that we just received from Spencer and we add it to our tools that we can use, we will find ourselves living in a place of true abundance with God. So I pray for you all that it has been as good for you as it's been for us. We thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We look forward to being with you all next week. Do you have any other parting words, Spencer?
I don't. Just go get the book for yourself and share this information because that's, we're not getting paid for this. So it's kind of like that's your admission. Like, share it with someone else. Let them know you were here. You heard it all on Erica's show, and you want others to get a part of what you got tonight.
Thank you. And if anyone would like to be a guest, I put a link here at the bottom as well. Click on that link if you like to be a guest on Evolve and Elevate. And I appreciate Spencer. When I put that call out, he was one of the ones that answered, and I greatly appreciate you doing that. So you all have an amazing week.